Cowgirl Kind is a beef tallow skincare business based on high quality, small batches made with care and intention. All ingredients are carefully and thoughtfully sourced for the highest quality. It is an incredibly effective product. Cowgirl Kind is locally owned and handmade by Melinda Kirkby. Visit cowgirlkind.com. At Arena Mindset, we are empowering athletes to transform their lives by cultivating grit, resilience, purpose, and authenticity. We believe the mind is an athlete's most powerful tool, and by overcoming the challenges of mental performance, they can build unshakable confidence and achieve success in every arena of life. For more information, you can find us at arenamindset.net or on our Facebook page.
Or you watch somebody like Corey or Sarah, just a lot of your top people, and there's guys under that have wicked runs and you're so jealous of and stuff, but it's very surprising in the fact of how much kind of humility, I guess, you get out of it. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God, they're just like me, they're not a robot. There's a few times where you'll hear it at the back gate, especially being an open rider, where you watch somebody like Sarah go in there, and it's just like she marks a 210, and you're like, oh my God, she's not a robot,
Exactly.
But like, if you're not kind of in the loop, I guess it's a bad way of putting it, but it's kind of truthful, because everybody, like your friend said,
right? There's
yeah.
that every
But all of a sudden, it's you start to see that balance of like, man, that's just a really good horse. That's what they picked to come here on, or things like that in nature. And all of a sudden you see the one where that trainer thinks they know they have hope in it, and so do the owners and everything else, but it changes. So
yeah, but no, you're right. And to hear somebody that is as tied into the industry
mm-hmm.
as you are and has been for your entire life,
yeah,
say that they also have felt that way is so profound and going to be so meaningful, because you got to remember, like, as non-pros, like, I didn't get into this sport until I was almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Horses my whole life. I had done some roping, things like that.
Yeah.
But right cow horse is hard. Like, hard. And when I first got into it, I celebrated every lead change. I celebrated
mm-hmm.
every time I laid a 5-foot set of 11s. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then we watch you guys go out there and you make it look so easy. So easy and effortless. And that can be extremely intimidating to a
mm-hmm.
non-pro. And so to hear you say that you sometimes, like, watching some people feel that way as well is so profound, because, like I said, there was times I was scared to go into a warm-up pin if open riders were in it, because I was so afraid of making myself look stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Or like I didn't belong, or whatever. And it's unfortunate, because now that I've gotten to know so many of the open riders
mm-hmm.
on a more personal level and not just seeing them in the show pen, I know that you guys are not riding around judging us.
No.
That's not what's happening.
No.
We don't need to feel that way. Like, the number of trainers and open riders that have just helped me and supported me along the way is so numerous. And never did I feel like they were doing it and then making fun of me behind my back.
Yeah.
Or, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, they genuinely want to see you be successful. They genuinely want things to go well for your horse, for
mm-hmm.
the industry. So.
Well, like, you have to be comfortable in the fact of celebrating a 210 if you know that person come out and, like, 2 weeks ago they were a 199.
Exactly.
And the hard part about it is where it's very hard where, I guess, non-pros and even assistant trainers and stuff, and they see somebody go in there and mark a 220, and their mindset thinks, the only way I'm going to be successful is doing that. It's not, because the biggest thing is having a horse that, you really hope as a trainer you can give the knowledge to non-pros, owners, just the industry. And the fact is, if you have a cow horse that can legitimately go in there and mark 70, 71s for all three events, you have a really good horse. Because a lot of people don't understand, a I guess they somewhat understand, but in a rider's aspect, they don't understand the fact of how hard it is to just go in there and be clean in 3 events and be a 71.
Yeah.
Am I saying that that horse is capable of being an open horse? No, by no means I'm not. But the thing is if it's a level 1 or it's a non-pro and stuff, you genuinely appreciate that horse, because the one thing that the outside of the public doesn't see is, yeah, that horse might only go in there and mark 70s and 71s, but the biggest part is that horse might be really good with their kids.
Yes.
That horse might be the horse that they raised and bred and they appreciated. That horse might be something that's just so genuine to them that somebody could be like, well, that's only a $40,000 horse. To them, it's $100,000. So they don't care, So you have to have that perspective in the fact that I think it's one of the hardest disciplines to sit there and train and like be okay with it. And some horses are really good 3-year-olds, and then you don't really see them come back as 4 and 5s, or they're not the greatest 3-year-olds, but they're amazing 4 and 5s, and then they come in as a bridle horse, and everybody's like, where did that one come from?
Right. Yes.
It's like I always seen you show your gray horse and stuff, and like when you had him and that gray horse, he was just really pretty. Was he the craziest, most physical thing in the world? No, but he had a really good demeanor. Like you appreciated that horse, and you're like, he's doing a really good job for her.
Taught me a lot, and that has value.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, to a T. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the straight non-pro division is become very big.
Mhm.
When you're talking about Debbie Crafton,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a long list of them out there
Yeah.
that are incredibly successful and incredibly tough to beat.
Mhm.
But the nice thing about this sport is everybody can compete at their level, right?
Yeah.
If you're new to the sport, you're going to be able to enter in the level 1, or even like if you go to these club shows like the Gym States Outdoors, you can go to the Greener Than Grass.
Yeah.
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 You can compete against people. You can box first and then decide if you want to go to the
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the NRCHA has done such a great job of creating openings for people that are new to the sport.
Well, it's become very diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, again, going back to, when you're watching these runs and you see somebody mark at 220, okay, that, you don't have to show up and do that.
Yeah.
At all, right?
Yeah.
So, making sure that people understand that that's not the expectation.
Yeah.
That's the exception for the top in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
That is not the expectation for everybody.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the thing is owner aspects and stuff. But like you say, that the non-pro is difficult now, and it's hard, and it is hard. But 20 years ago, it was hard too. I mean, you had people like Annie. She would just come in and
Go in there.
kill it, And then you had people like Tish Wilhite. You had Dima Paul. I mean, the list can go a mile long, and you kind of get to living in the present and you forget the past. But the thing is, the past teaches you so much that it helps you kind of go more towards the future. So you don't stay, you need to keep your mindset in the present. You need to be
Right.
aware of things and stuff. But it's like you're saying, that 220, people think that that's the standard. It's not.
It's not.
Having a 210 horse is for an open trainer like myself, I guess you could put it in a way, it's not acceptable. But if I'm honest with my owners and I just tell them, hey, this isn't a majors horse. This is, we can go to our weekends, or we can have an assistant show it, or hey, if they're that non-pro that wants to show, hey, this is a horse that can be competitive for you. And if it's not the right fit, I think the biggest thing is being humble and having honesty in that situation can really help a lot of defining factors of how do we show this horse, how do we make the best ability. And
Agreed.
yeah, there's a lot of difference in it.
Yeah.
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 It's so nice having those tiers and those options. It gives the owners a place to find for their horse that they've invested so much time and money into. It gives the horse a nice home and a future within its career.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, I think that's all of our goal on some level, is to make sure that we're putting horses out there that can be used and have a good home.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that the NRCHA was founded on is their slogan for a very long time is where tradition is not forgotten. And so the biggest thing about that is we're not just trying to make good 3-year-olds, trying to make good derby horses, but essentially we're trying to make really good bridle horses. So I think if you can be honest with yourself as a trainer and honest with your owners, and you know that there's longevity in your horses and what you're creating, the thing is owners really love a sound horse. and you know, and the vet bills and everything, you know, you'd love to stay away from it. So and problems happen, and you know, those situations are going to happen. But if you create that honesty, but at the end of the day, as a trainer, you really appreciate the fact if you've rode one, you trained it as a 2-year-old, you maybe had mild success as a 3, 4, and 5, or maybe you had great success, but then 10 years down the road, you can see that horse and it's with some non-pro and it's 15 years old and it's still sound and it's still going. Mm-hmm. I mean,
makes you feel good.
I would take that win every single day of the week, you know, because it doesn't just depend on my success. It depends on the horses.
For sure.
And so if other people get to enjoy that same excitement I had, that I had this horse that was a 3-year-old and I marked a 220 on it in one of the events, but then, you know, 10 years later, I'm seeing the horse back in the pen, and that non-pro that never got to experience that, and they got to have it too with that same horse. It had nothing to do with me. It was solely that was a wicked individual, and that rider put it in the right place, the right time, and they just had a blast. And that's probably the story for that non-pro that they're going to talk about for the next 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good feeling. And I had a lot of, you know, a lot of respect for my dad, because that's how he did a lot of things. And he tried to just create a lot of good horses that gave a lot of other people opportunity. And so if you can have that and you can build that, it's really, really rewarding. That's better than a Derby win or anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Well, we just kind of dove right into this, so maybe let's introduce ourselves here.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show. On this episode of Non-Pro No, we have Clay and Taylor Roeser here, and I'm thrilled to have them on the podcast. Such a force within the cow horse industry, and been a part of it for a really long time, and I'm really looking forward to having them share more of that insight and experience that they've had over the years. So, welcome to the show, guys.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us out to your beautiful barn here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Is this Star or Middleton?
It's actually Middleton. We're on the outside boundary of Star. So,
Okay, I was
yeah.
driving here, I'm like, I don't know which one this would be considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One avenue over and we'd be Star. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah.
It's a great place back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Road out in the middle of
So quiet.
cornfields and yeah,
Quiet.
Quiet. Get quiet.
yeah, it's great. We love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But how long have you guys been here? It's not been a super long time, has it?
No, about 3 years.
Yeah, just over 3 years. I think we obtained this place. Me and Taylor decided to jump all in, I guess you could say, and we just had Rosie, and then Cooper was literally,
Surprise.
he was on the way right when we signed the paper. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Your big life change.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
oh
It
yeah,
was great.
it was phenomenal. Yeah,
Interesting. Never boring.
yeah,
Not boring.
So yeah, 22 we were here. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Was it?
It was barren. So
Oh,
the thing is there was this barn here, and then there was the covered pen, and just the house, and it was just all grass field and nothing
Weeds.
else. Yeah, there
So
was
many weeds. They
there
were
was
like up to our heads. They're huge.
yeah, it was pretty bad. But we had leased a place from another gentleman, Steve Posey, over in Cuna, and I'd left my dad's, and I went there for about 4 years, and Steve gave me a lot of opportunity being over there and kind of help develop my business and stuff. And then it kind of it was trying to go bigger, and I really necessarily, I guess, would say wasn't trying. It just kind of happened, and then I realized that I didn't have enough stalls, and we found this place, and I showed it to Taylor, and she kind of joked and said, I'll never live in another double wide again. And we had a house in town at the time we were at Steve's. And then next thing I know, we signed the papers on the place and we're back living in a double wide. So
It worked.
I don't have anything. I lived in a double wide for a very long time. So there's nothing.
well, the funny
No,
fact
no.
about it is when we bought the place, the double wide we're in now, and it's on a foundation and everything, but the thing was completely wrecked. So we
There was,
had
like,
30 days
mice
to.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah, we had 30 days to move in, and I'm telling her, I'm looking at the covered arena, and I'm like, well, there's no way we could afford to build one of those, and it's already on the place, but I can probably fix up the house. And then we signed the papers, and they're like, in 30 days, you got to be out of the house that we owned in Cuna and into that one. And Taylor, the first day she sees it, she's just like, and she's like 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Mind you, I'm 8 months pregnant, so I'm a little.
yeah. And she's like, I don't know how we can do this. And yeah. And so we literally moved, I think, all of a sudden we got here and we just had panel pins in the back, along the creek there. And it went from, I think, 16 head of horses at Steve's to 25, literally overnight. And all we had was a outdoor arena and a flag on 2 posts, and we were going to shows and trying to build the place. And like there's people like there's Austin and Abby Henstra and Nolan Hansen was working for me at the time. I think the 5 of us, if there wouldn't have been the 5 and we were just so dedicated to training horses and trying to like build this place, that it would have never happened. Like it was such a mess. And there was other people. There was Eric and like Rochelle that are with us too, and like we were. I remember the Idaho fraternity was going on, and it's starting to snow, and I just get back from Fort Worth, and the pad just got poured on the barn, and my barn is laying out in the pasture, and still dismantled and ready to be put up, and we're out there. Oh yeah. The fact that Taylor hasn't divorced me is kind of amazing. Because the stuff we put ourselves through and I put her through, it was like it was kind of chaotic, because I think we had 27 head of horses at that time, and we were like, we'd get done every day at the Idaho fraternity, and I'd come home and I'd be building on that barn myself, and I'd maybe get an hour of sleep and in a snowstorm. And I'm like, all I cared about is, I'm like, if you got the kids, I got the horses. And so I'm getting them undercover. And I mean, there was just so much stuff that, just everybody went through. And I mean, if it wasn't for all those people that are around, and I know I'm missing a few, but it's like we would have never, ever made any of this happen.
The best part about that is when that barn got delivered, I went into labor. That same day it got delivered. And so between Abby, Nolan, and Austin, they unloaded it for us, because I am in active labor at the hospital about to deliver, and Clay gets a phone call. They're like, so the barn's here, we need it offloaded. He's like, oh man.
You're gonna have to take care of it.
Yeah, and so
Little
come to
busy.
find out, we get a bunch of Snapchats, and they've got 2 tractors, and they're just like picking a load, the truck's driving off, picking a load up, the truck's driving off. So we get home from Cooper being born, and there's like the whole barn is scattered across the whole front pasture. And at that time it wasn't a pasture, it was just a big dirt field that, we threw manure on. And so it was kind of pretty bad. And so I'm just like thinking, I get home and it's like a week later, I'm about to leave the fraternity, and I look at Taylor and I'm like, what is any owner ever going to want to send a horse here as bad as this looks right now? And I'm just kind of freaking out about that. And she's like, we're good. Just keep going. Just ride your horses, and
We got this.
yeah.
I think anybody that's been around a while or tried to even remotely build a place, I mean, obviously, most of us don't build a place to this size or scale, but I mean, I think most people understand how much is wrapped up in it.
I think in partial ways, they understand, but like when it comes down to just the moment you walk out the door and you find out cow's got a bad eye, or, and then you got all these horses to ride and stuff like that. And as my job is, I'm supposed to go get on horses, but then on top of it, it does turn into all of it, and there's been so many owners that have just turned into friends. I would say all of them, and just people that they actually care about your well-being. I think that's the thing is I appreciate about the cow horses. It kind of turns into more of a family than it turns into kind of anything else. It ain't just a trainer riding and you have a bunch of owners and stuff like that. And I, every single year I just get to the point where I'm so appreciative of, what everybody has done for myself, but my family and the whole 9 yards, to where it's just like, it's kind of, you're in disbelief, because then you finally maybe tell some people some stories and they're like, you got to be kidding me, that really happened. And you're just like, oh yeah, and then you just act like it's normal day.
Well, it is for you.
Yeah. Well, I kind of dragged Taylor into it and stuff, because she was kind of just a straight city girl. And then the day I asked her to marry me, I'm like, so you ready for this? You good with it? Like literally as I'm proposing, and she's just like, yeah, I'm good, and then we buy this place and we're a year in, and she goes, that day you asked me if you're ready for this, and she goes, I told you I was, but she goes, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it. Yeah, I didn't know what I was saying and what I was doing, so it was pretty comical. But yeah, just the people that have come into it, and just the individuals I've been involved with, and the clients and the horses and everything. It's like, there's times you think you would change it, but then you look back and you're like, I wouldn't do anything different, Yeah.
Just the memories from it. It was so crazy, but honestly, the memories are kind of fun to look back at.
Yeah. They're not fun in the moment, but they're
fun to
pretty
talk about
good.
now.
Yeah.
There's something about that. The best stories are always come from like the most challenging times.
Oh gosh.
It's the truth. And honestly, those are typically the times that we look back on and cherish the most in the long run. I mean, with obviously some emotions, obviously. But the long nights are you're building the barn.
Oh yeah.
It's probably been 8 years ago now. My husband and my dad and I built our house, and it was just the three of us.
Oh, wow.
In this house. And it was, 14, 16-hour days, trying to get it done before it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I totally relate, because now I look back and I'm like, there's so much value in that. Because
Oh, there is.
I
Yeah.
remember every piece of it. I remember every.
Oh yeah.
I remember, and you guys, there's so much to be said about that. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, it's definitely put worth into the people that I've been involved with. It's, as a couple standpoint, it's
Good marriage
kinda,
counseling.
Yeah, she put it better than I just did. But you have a lot of, I guess, a lot to be thankful for, because like times can be tough and things like that, or a horse show doesn't go right and everything, and then you come home and you're just like, wow, the people that are around me are really good, and and just the friends, and even people that may have left or whatever, you're still appreciative of the fact that they were there and what they did for you and everything in between. It's just like you wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Right.
So it's just like you kind of get caught up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Those moments will definitely shine a spotlight on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the time I don't feel like I do enough for people, and yeah, I'm a horse trainer, but it's I'm always the guy that's trying to keep other people happy, and so it's just like because you just see how much they do for you, and so it's just like you really want to be genuine in the fact that you're like taking care of other people, Yeah.
Agreed. That sense of community is really important.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well, I would like to kind of dive into your guys' history a little bit, let people get to know you
All right.
more outside of the arena.
Yeah.
So, Clay, let's start with you.
Okay.
Tell us about where you were. I mean, we all know you're John Roeser's son, probably.
Yeah.
But, but we would love to hear about that. So tell us where you were born, all the good stuff.
I was born in Fresno, California, and then it kind of just, Dad at that time he had a training facility there in Visalia. Dad originally was Greg Ward's assistant, and then we actually lived at my grandparents' place in Tulare, and they had a place that was right down the road from Greg's, there in Tulare. And then Dad, he went to that training facility in Visalia, and Dad was there till probably 96, 97. And then probably about 94, we lived on the main house there at the Visalia place. And then Dad, kind of all his assistants kind of became my big brother. So that was like Jake Oral, and there was Eric Martin, and there was a lot of others, and then during that time, and then Dad bought a place in Lemoore, California, and it was a 100-acre ranch there, and we were only there for about 6 months, and then Dad got an offer to go train for Polygon there at South Point, or not South Point, excuse me, the Rock and K, and so Dad decided to do that, and we went to Las Vegas for 2 years. And Dad trained cutters and cow horses and rode cutters for Paula, and kind of at that time in the early years and stuff, Dad cut a lot, and we went to a lot of cuttings. We went to Pacific Coast, we went to the BI, was in Reno and stuff. And when Dad worked for Greg a lot, they went back to the NCHA fraternity finals. Like Dad's made the semis a few times. He actually made the NCHA fraternity finals. I think it was in 96 or 95 or something like that. He was like about 5th or 6th or something. Wow. And then but yeah, he went to work for Paula, and then he was there I think till 99 or 2000, and then came back to Lemoore. And Dad, we were there for I want to say till 2016 I think, and then he made the move to Idaho, and I stayed as assistant for 2 years and stuff, and then kind of went out on my own. But yeah, those places had a lot of fun memories and stuff, and the people you met. And Dad, he had a lot of assistants that have become really good friends in the industry and stuff. And I kind of didn't start really riding probably till I was 13, and or kind of being competitive about it or anything like that. And Dad, he put me on cutters first, and I didn't show my first cow horse till I was 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I kind of don't know why, but yeah, I never did the youth cow horse or anything like that.
You were riding through all of your childhood, though, right?
Honestly, not a whole lot. Dad, he kind of never, I guess you could say, forced it or made me ride or anything. So I was kind of a shorts and flip-flops and Game Boy kid,
No way.
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
would have guessed
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was kind of in my youth. I was kind of a stinker. I kind of, I was a little, probably actually, if you asked Dad, I was more hard-headed than, easy willing and stuff. But then the cutting, he had me do that, and the cutting, I actually really, really liked it. And I showed a lot of youth horses. I mean, I'd go, if Dad didn't go, I'd travel with, John Ward or other friends or people like that, Dad had me a really good youth horse named Cal's Billy Bob that he bought from a lady, and I went and showed him everywhere, and like that horse was just a cow blocker.
And what age was this again?
I was probably, at that time, 15, 16 and stuff like that. And yeah, and then I started high school rodeoing and stuff about my sophomore year, and then we had some really good friends, the Brancos, and they taught me how to rope and do everything. And then senior year, at that time, started bulldogging too, and so through high school rodeo, I roped calves and team roped and bulldogged and did all that. And in the past family stuff, most of our family have all been bronc riders. Grandpa made the NFR, and Dan, he roped and stuff like that. But then my Uncle Tim, he rode bucking horses. Dad actually rode bucking horses and gave it up in college. They asked me if I ever wanted to do it, and I said, I ride enough 2-year-olds. I don't. I
don't need to be.
I don't know if I want to be on a bucking horse.
Pay an entry fee to go ride a bucking horse.
Yeah, we can do that at home and stuff. But yeah, I kind of did cutters all there through my teens and stuff, and then finally when I was I think 18 was the first time I had a snaffle bit fraternity horse, and it was my grandmother's mare, and I bred her myself, and that was my first fraternity horse that I took. And the funny joke is like Dad, I tell him, I'm like, I'm going to win the snaffle bit fraternity, and I'm never even shown one time. And Dad, all he said is he looked at me and he goes, don't kid yourself, And I was just like, I was kind of thinking, this bugger, he don't think I could do it, but what he was telling me was the horse, he was just a good, limited open horse and stuff. And he was just like, hey, have some real expectations,
Yeah.
And well, actually, I take that back. That was one I bred and raised myself. And then, but the first year I showed in the non-pro when I was 18. That was actually my first fraternity horse, and I went to the pre-fraternity in Vegas, and that was the first one. And I remember I was there in the non-pro, and it's the first one I'd ever shown or anything. And I showed her at like a practice show that there was a feedlot down in Bakersfield, and they do the cuttings and the practice fraternity and stuff like that. But we go to the NSHA show, and that it was there in Paso that year, and I go in there, and I think the herd work, I'm like a 205 or something, you know. I tell my dad, I'm like, I'm scratching her, I'm horrible, I can't cut, you know, the whole deal. And he's like, you're fine, go show her, you know. So I go in the rein work, and I think I mark like a 208 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm scratching her, I'm the most worst rider on the planet, I can't do it, you know. And he's like, you're gonna be fine. He goes, go take her down the fence, you know. And so I go take her down the fence, and I think I marked like a 14 or a 15, and everybody was having heck, you know. Well, I end up winning like $7,000 on that mare, because I was eligible for every division. That at that time it was the amateur, and then you had the limited non-pro, the intermediate non-pro, and the non-pro. And Dad comes up to me, he goes, aren't you happy you didn't scratch her? You know. And so, and then we go to Reno there for the Snaffle Bit fraternity, and kind of same situation happens, but I'm like 209, and kind of decent down the fence, you know. And I end up reserve, amateur, non-pro, and then I end up making the non-pro finals too. And same thing, he comes up and he's like, aren't you happy you didn't scratch her? You know. And I'm just like, yeah, well, I'll remember it to this day. I get like 3 buckles, you know, one for the intermediate, one for the non-pro, and then the amateur and stuff. And Jake Gorel goes walking by, you know, and I'm all happy about these buckles. And he goes, hey, you better keep those clean and keep them safe, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, weird kind, you know. And he goes, you probably won't see another one for a while. And it wasn't a stick, what he was saying, because Dad's been telling him, like, yeah, I think I'm going to have Clay, you know, limited open some of my horses, you know, and realizing how tough it is, you know. And so all of a sudden the next year I show up and go to the fraternity, and I'm on that horse that I bred and raised, and all of a sudden, I mean, it's horrible. It's bad. I think the fence I zero and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden epiphany hits me, and I'm just like, yeah, I better protect these buckles. So I'm over there scrubbing on my buckle, you know, because I got dirt on it from the summer, you know. And the funniest thing, for the longest time, it was a 2008 buckle, and I wore that buckle for like 15 years. And it was the smartest thing that Jake Gorel ever told me, because it was like, I protect it and do everything, you know, because it's like, if you win one in the open, you're going to do the right thing, give it to your owner, you know. So he's like, yeah, the moment you go to that open, dude, you might not see a buckle. And so I protected it for a very long time, because there was just, I think, 2 other times, you know, I didn't show a whole lot of kind of limited open horses and stuff for Dad. I think in all the years I showed for him, I think I showed maybe 5 or 6 of them. I think on one of those I won a buckle, and that owner had never won a buckle and was so excited. And I told my dad, I'm like, yeah, I got a buckle, you know. And he's just like, yeah, you're gonna have to give that to him. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I want it, you know. And he's just like, no, dude, that's the owner's, you know. But the thing is, then I started realizing stuff like that. They were so excited to get that, like that was their win, you know.
Absolutely.
And so it was pretty funny and stuff. But in the last few years, it's kind of funny, because now I got a new owner this last year, and all of a sudden I win a buckle there at Idaho, you know, and the Idaho buckles are awesome. And I called the owner, and I'm like, hey, I got you a buckle. And he's just like, you're not keeping it? And I'm like, no, it's your horse, you know, you deserve to keep it. And he's like, he was so ecstatic, because he was like, this is the first buckle I've ever gotten. And he goes, how do I call him and get you one made? And I'm like, you don't have to do that, you know. And I was just like, and I told him, I'm like, you do not have to do that, you know. And he goes, well, you wouldn't want to wear it? And I'm like, yeah, it's either going to go in a display case, or, you know, or yeah, I'd wear it. And he goes, well, I'm getting you one made too, you know.
How nice is that?
Yeah, and other people have done it for me too. I mean, it was, you know, John and Heidi Bansone, they did it for me. I ended up winning the Intermediate Open there at the Derby. I think that year in 22 or 23 when we bought the place, and Heidi, it was, I can't remember if it was at the show or afterward or whatever, but she showed up at the buckle and she handed it to me, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
That's
And
so
I'm
nice.
like, that's a big time buckle. Like, I'm like, you keep that. And she's like, no, you deserved it. And, the whole deal. And I was like, well, I'll pay to get one made for you,
You're
and they're
right.
like, she's like, nope, John already did it, and so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good people.
But yeah, they're phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those it's a meaningful thing. It's funny. It's just a belt buckle, but gosh, it's so much more than just a belt
Oh,
buckle.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so much more than that.
I mean, for some of those owners, they can spend 20 years of their lives and
And
never get one.
so much
And be a
money
part of the
and
industry and the
emotional.
money and stuff like that. But sometimes it might just be the one buckle that they hang on their mantle, and all their friends come around. They're like, "Where'd you get that?" And
Mm-hmm.
that one buckle can start so many memories and stories,
man.
and the stuff that happened at the barn, or the stuff that happened right 10 minutes before the horse went in and everybody's freaking out because he sprung a shoe or something.
Right,
or, You know what I
exactly,
mean?
yeah.
And so it's just that there's a lot to that, and it's just, and a lot of places are great about giving those and stuff, but that's where it's maybe not so much for an open rider, you know what I mean? But it does mean a lot to those non-pros, or say a
It
youth
does.
kid, or just the owners in themselves. They get that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
sorry, we kind of got off
No,
track
you're
there
good.
from my
Hey,
family
no, you're
history.
good.
But
So, I mean, obviously, your dad, John Roeser, is such a huge force within the industry.
oh yeah,
NRCHA board member, Hall of Famer,
yeah.
like your family kind of
Yeah.
created cow horse and
Yeah,
in some
it's-
level.
yeah, but yeah.
I mean, so tell me more about that and how you think, obviously it's helped direct your career,
Mm-hmm.
but what was it like? I mean, what was it like growing up and seeing all of that from such a behind the scenes point of view your whole life?
Dad's a magician.
Yeah.
He really is. That guy his mentality and the fact of how he trains horses and what he does, and it's crazy. Dad's been, in the industry his whole life too, because, Grandpa Jim, he, did it as well and stuff like that. And so just the family dynamic of it, of how, my grandpa, I only got to know him for a short time as a kid, but I have some of the best memories on the planet of him. But, just my dad and Dan, and I mean, even, Tim and Mark and stuff like that, but Dad and Dan being in the industry, their biggest outlook on what they can do for the industry, how they've done it, things like that, it always comes down to the horse. It's, and they've always been really good to people, good to the industry, things like that, so seeing the dynamic of what they've done in their careers and still going and going very strongly, just the small impact that you can have on other people to help build their careers or what they've done. I mean, the assistant trainers, for instance, that Dad's had, and the forms of success that they've had, what Dan's done, stuff like that. But then it always comes back to how good they make their horses and what they do, and you see a lot of them having success on them. You see dynamics of other people having success on them, and they're just really good horsemen, and people appreciate that. And that's, probably in my teens, I thought, I just want to be a winner, and that's what I want to do. But now, having a family and having the opportunity with a lot of great people to train a lot of great horses, I just want to be a good horseman like them, And so
Yeah.
that one, it just, it's very hard to. I mean, I've always told people, if I knew half the stuff my dad has in his right boot, I think I'll be all right, So it's I hold those guys to a very high standard, and maybe it's not even on their accolades or what they do. It's literally if you can have the opportunity to get around those individuals and see how they train a horse and how they do it. There's a lot of sincerity in what they do and why they do it, you know.
Absolutely.
And like Dad's dynamic, I was around him a very, very long time and still am to this day. He's maybe only scared me one time on horse, you know, and just not the right situation or anything like that. And then he come up to me and he's like, "You good?" And I was just like, you kind of scared me there. And he goes, "I scared myself." And the fact that, there's a lot of, I guess, being humble about that.
Right.
That's, if
Right,
you
not
can,
just trying to
yeah,
mask over it.
Yeah. If you can stay true to that, it's like, you're probably going to be a good horse trainer.
Yeah.
And he's proved it. Dan's proved it. They have nothing to prove, let alone what they've done for the industry. Like Dan being the NRCHA president, he's been on the board for such a long time. Dad, I think we counted up the other day. He's been on the board since the inception, and I think it's like 34 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I think Dad's kind of done everything on that board other than being the president, but he don't have to, you know. But then he's still on the Idaho board, and stuff like that, and just I told him the other day, I'm like, I don't know how you'd take the mental toll of that, and he goes, I just enjoy it, and that's part about it I really like about it too. But then, just his training philosophy of what he does, even to this day, it's astonishing that somebody that's done it for 45 years and all the people you meet, whether it's good or it's bad, and it's not always beautiful days, especially riding 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and successful as his fraternity seasons always were. It's amazing to see just how humble he stays about it, but then how much he just likes the horse. It's and it could be a horse that's just out there marked at 70. And I remember there's one day, and he bred and raised a horse, and I can't remember what it is, but this was not the funnest 3-year-old in the barn. I didn't like riding him as a 2-year-old, but still, he's a good horse. Like, he's gonna maybe go make a rope horse or something and everything. And he comes rolling around the corner one day, and he shoots out there to the outdoor arena there in California, and he runs down there and stops it. And this horse, for him, stopped pretty dang good. And he turns around, and he's laughing and smiling, and he's just like, this horse going to win the Snap Lifter, and like the same joke he made to me years before, he knew it, don't kid yourself or whatever, but it was hilarious, because even in that moment, he knew it wasn't a plus half stop or a plus one, but he just enjoyed the fact that horse that day went and did it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that was the biggest aspect I watched my dad, is he could have more mental and physical wins being at home or in the practice pens or wherever you'd be, than sitting there relying on the fact that my horse looked really good in the show pen. Because I watched some of his for years. God, there was, Very Smart Remedy, checks out, Mr. Smart Remedy, I can't remember their names right now, but he had 2 Shiner mares. One he was reserved on at fraternity, the other one he won the pre-fraternity on. Murata's cooking now. I can go down the list on just horses, and there were times where I watched them horses go in the show pen and just be horrible, on an industry standard. And then I watch them times just kill it and be amazing, and most of the time they were always amazing in the show pen. But it was kind of funny, because he would have so much more fun there at the house, and knew how he was gaining ground, and just his method or mindset of what he did was, I don't know if I've ever been around anybody else that is just thinks and does what he does. And I'm not just saying that because he's my dad. I think you can go around the industry and talk to other guys or women or whoever, and it's just like, it's unbelievable stuff he can do.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of what you're saying, we interviewed Cody and Aaron Hansen
Yeah.
a while back, and Cody had a lot of the same things to say about how much he admired how much John just loved horses.
Yeah.
Like he just
Yeah.
loved horses. And he's like, yeah, we'd be like, where'd John go? And he'd be out there with a horse just letting it graze on the grass.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
like hanging
Yeah.
out with it. And,
Yeah.
and that's kind of rare sometimes. With
Well,
performance
Dad,
horses.
he knows different ways of making horses happy. Like sometimes it's not just having a good run, and it's not just, in the training aspect and stuff like that. Like he knows I think he reads horses just as good as he reads people, and probably better, because he'll know if he pulls one out the day before and maybe it was a really tough ride maybe the day before, and they're just not hitting that maneuver or whatever they may do. He might just walk in the arena and lope them around 10 laps and kind of go into that one exercise one time, and it was better than yesterday, and he'll just walk out of the arena and just have the snaffle still on him and just let him go eat grass and pet him on the neck and just let him be like, hey, you just improved
You did
10% than you did yesterday.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, I think the thing is and kind of what I try to do and have learned from him is like, you're going to do way better on a happy horse.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, a horse like that, they're going to want to try hard for you next time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they feel like even when they get the right answer, they didn't get the right answer,
Yeah.
they're going to give up on you.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like in Clay's training, I feel like he takes that
Yeah.
definitely of like what he learned from his dad. I definitely feel like he applies that every single day.
It was a great thing to take,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. You can't go past that stuff and not think that it doesn't work, and I think in some situations you think that just being repetitive and going over and just trying to get that 1% a day and stuff like that, but I don't know, you can figure it in fractions in and just say, sometimes that 1% a day is not actually even doing any of the maneuvers,
Right.
It's like, how can I get into that horse mentally and make him feel right? Because, I mean, some of the funnest runs I've ever had, like that little Stormy Jones at the Futurity, when I showed him, and it almost turned into a mess because I'm boxing this cow, and the cow's pushing, and we're there in Will Rogers, and all of a sudden the cow acts like it's going to go to the right, and Dad's sitting right there in that corner seat, and I'm just thinking I'm going to go with it, but I'm kind of questioning it, so I kind of go to leg that horse and push him up into the corner, and I'm going down the wrong wall.
Oh.
Yeah,
It
like
was-
I'm not
it was
going down,
wicked.
I'm not going down, I guess you go to the left and always
Right.
make a right turn
Go by
first.
the judges.
I'm going down the judges, and I get right to that corner, and I act like I'm going to stop that cow, and then all of a sudden, I hear Dad, and he's right there in that corner seat, and he just says, go ahead. And so I kind of just back off of Matt, and then all of a sudden, I just release it, and this cow just leaves me. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And Mav is such a phenomenal fence horse, and I go make the turn, and it's huge. Well, that cow comes off the wall, and I make this turn, and it's out in the middle of the open field, and I mean, we're running dead sprint, that cow just shuts off, and I pick Matt, and he just shuts off, and then we go to making these Mach 10 circles, and I mean, everybody's just ripping in there, and I come out, and I'm in disbelief, and I'm just like, I have no idea how that just happened. But like the thing is that horse he was happy, and he loved the situation, and I was with him to just egg it on,
Right.
and he just conquered it. And John and Heidi, they're there at the back gate or whatever, and I see him, and the first thing I said to him, I was just like, he acted like he just wanted to die for me, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was a very rewarding thing, and I've been very fortunate the last 4 years there at the 30 to make the finals and stuff, and every single year that horse I make in the finals, I just feel like they're just so happy and they're going to die for you, and you're honestly like in the same boat. You're just like, I'd do anything for
Right.
you. And I think that a lot of that aspect comes from Dad in that, because he always knew he could trust those horses, but he knew they trusted him. And so when you have that dynamic, and it's not just about having one broke, like
Right.
they have to love
They
the
have to want it.
situation, they got to want it, they got to, And there's some horses you watch at the Futurity or Derby or wherever, or even here at Idaho and stuff, and you don't think that horse is maybe cream of the crop, and then you go in there and watch it show, and it just might not, the horse fundamentally might not look like it should be that horse, and you go in there and watch it show, and you're just like, oh my God, like that thing would just, it's a fence horse, or it's a, you know what I mean, the way it's built, it shouldn't stop that way, and it does. Like you're just kind of in disbelief, and I think that's where it's been a big attribute, sitting there watching for all the years that I did with Dad and still do. I mean, but you just watch that, and it's just like, God, those horses just. That I always watch him, and I'm like, man, if that, he would die for them, just like they, vice versa and stuff, and so it's just. That was a really big aspect of my deal, and I said I can't lose that, and you got to make friends with your horses and be happy about it, and I think the biggest thing is you just got to be, too, on an owner's perspective, talking to them as a trainer, the biggest thing that you can really help yourself is honesty.
Yeah.
So if you tell them like, hey, I think I have the horse that feels right to go do this, and those horses feel like they like you, take the chance.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we think so much about physical longevity in these horses, especially now with how well the bridle industry is.
Yeah.
But there's so much to be said about the mental longevity
Oh,
of a
yeah.
horse. And unfortunately, I've seen some really cool horses that just maybe they got overpressured, or
Yep.
maybe they didn't love what they were doing because it wasn't presented to them in the right way. And that's such a heartbreaking situation, So hearing you talk about keeping the happiness of the horse in the forefront is so refreshing and encouraging, because I think our whole industry is moving that way more and more every single year.
Yeah.
And that mental longevity is so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the biggest thing is if, being a trainer, and whether it's a trainer talking to owners, or it's a non-pro talking to themselves, or talking to other friends, I think the biggest thing is you can, it's kind of like that comment of my dad always told me, don't kid yourself, and so, but what I mean by that is not in negative terms by any means. I try to see it very positively, and it's like I have some 3-year-olds this year that I really like, but I know if I go push them too soon and consider the Futurity or even Reno with it coming up this next week, that I might completely lose that horse just trying to create an opportunity. But if I do that, then is this owner still going to have a 4 and 5-year-old? Or is this owner, and that's a really hard discussion to have with an owner, and you hope you have really understanding owners, because some might get mad at you and be like, well, I've had you ride it for 2 years, and you're telling me it's not ready. And it's like, physically they're ready, physically they're doing everything right, mentally they're not there.
3 is young.
3 is very young.
It's a very young mental age. For a horse, and we ask a lot of them.
Yes, we do.
And I appreciate you as a trainer looking at it from that aspect, because to sacrifice one's entire career over one show or 2 shows, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And I think there's some horses that you'll show up to the show and you don't think they're a gamer at all, and they wouldn't die for you and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you get there and you're like, holy smokes, this is my best one,
And it's weird because, you hear people talk about it, and it's just like a flipping a switch. Like,
seriously.
whoa,
Like that mare I made the finals on last year, that was a really good mare, but I got her late in the season. I didn't get her till 3-year-old year of February or March and stuff. And then I had all these other horses that I had rode for, 2 years. And my 2 high horses were my high horses. But then the fence work, the cow took them out of it. And then all of a sudden this mare that nobody thought had a chance, and I just kind of had a belief of it, and I liked it. Well, then she ends up making the finals and goes in there and makes, if she wouldn't have went to her knees in the herd work, she could have ended up being reserved, because the rein work, I think she was the high rein horse in the intermediate, and then she was definitely the high fence horse there in the fence finals and stuff. And so in that aspect, I couldn't I was in disbelief with that mare because it was nothing I did.
Right.
You know, yeah, I might have helped her and tried to do the right thing, you know, but all of a sudden it was a flip of a switch. And like, I'm calling Taylor and I'm just like, hey, I really don't know what's going to happen this finals, but like, she just feels right and she's happy and, you know, things are aware and like, she's just on her game right now. And, you know, and all Taylor said was, go have fun. And
Yeah.
then it
Full
turned
send.
into,
Full
yeah,
send.
that's kind of our motto when you make a finals is it's just
It has to,
full send.
Yeah.
right? It has to,
Yeah.
there's no safetying up in a finals.
Yeah.
That's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of been our motto kind of all along, you know, it's like we've always, good friend of ours, Matt Bell, you know, with Cow Power and stuff, me and Matt, we kind of talk like we're brothers and stuff. And the year I'm showing Peaches there at the fraternity, we get lucky and we make the last hole in there. And I go in there and he goes, hey, well, no bad draw in the finals. He's just like, you know, and it kind of changed my perspective that year. And same thing, I had Dad in the corner and we're going for the herd work. And he goes, just go have fun with her. He's like, just send it. He goes, good, bad, or draw, like, just have fun.
Right.
And I couldn't appreciated that more from an owner instead of looking at me and saying, I hope you win.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
You know what I mean? And granted, there's a good thing for hope, but like, I think everybody creates a lot of their own opportunity and they create a lot of their own strengths. And, you know, I always try to stay really mentally positive. But the thing is when an owner comes to you and just says, hey, just go have fun, even for what they've paid, what they've done, everything that they've given you, stuff like that, it just makes you take a breath of fresh air and you just go, okay, I'm going to go have
I'm
fun.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
And so I go in there fully trusting my horse. And then like that mare, we went in and first cow, all 5 judges, they got her marked at a 74.
Oh,
It was
nice.
so cool.
And so I was just like, this is amazing, you know, and I'm realizing things are going good. Well, I got Dad there turning back, and we go to the second cow. Well, we had this red strip face picked out, and we had this kind of skinnier black with kind of floppy ears. And I said, hey, the red's still fresh. I'm walking back to the herd for a second. I'm like, you know, where's the red? And he goes, black's on the outside here, and he's still fresh. Well, that cow was really stingy. And I knew the mare could handle it and stuff. And he goes, the red's over there, black's on the outside. And all I said to him is, I said, you think that black's too much? And he goes, you're in the finals.
Full send.
Full send.
send.
And that's kind of Dad's mentality too. And so I didn't even think twice, and I stepped out there on that cow. That cow was the funnest 30 seconds I had ever cutting in my life to date.
Nice.
But at 35, it turned into the worst,
Oh, no.
and I lost it.
Oh, no.
He just kept pressuring me. Both my front guys are in the corner with Dad, the whole deal.
Oh, that's not a good
And
sign.
it's wicked, and things are happening, and I'm doing nothing. I'm just trying to hang on. And all I try to do is we get over to the left, and I try to take a step forward and push that cow away from me so it finally turn, and it shoots over here to the left, and in my, you know, perspective, and it shoots over to the left. And so she jumps over there, and right when she jumps, she sits, and that cow just runs right under her. And so I work my third cow and like put my hands down on her, and she draws out of there, and everybody's in love with it. Well, I come walking out of there, and I'm bummed, you know, and first person was Dad, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry. And I was just like, I made that call.
Yeah.
And I said, I will not regret that call.
No.
And
you
I
gotta
said
go.
it was the best. I said that was maybe the most fun I've had on a horse cutting in my life, you know, because it was just pure. It felt like I was in the cutting, you know. I wasn't doing anything with my legs, my feet, hand, nothing. You know, it was all her. Well, he feels very apologetic about it, and I'm like, no, that was the right
That
call.
was cool. Yeah.
Well, I see Mr. Bell, Larry, you know, Matt's dad, and I end up being like 205 with Lost Cow. So still, even at that, she was going to be a 220, you know. And I see him, and I'm walking up, and I just got to rinse off, and we're waiting for the rain work. And I see him and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to get my butt chewed, and the whole 9 yards. And Larry's talking to somebody else. He sees me and he greets me with the biggest smile. And I'm like thinking, Larry, I'm so sorry. And he looks at me and he goes, I have waited 30 years to watch a horse cut like that. And he goes, cool part is I own her.
That's so cool.
And he goes, I'll spend $1 million on that mare before I'd ever think about selling her. Because they were thinking about selling her before I made the finals. And now she's part of the family. I mean, she's become part of, like, the kids. That's their horse. And, it's Taylor's. And, but that decision right there, it's, you can be at your highest of highs and then have the lowest of lows, and you can still see the good out of it.
Yeah. And the mind is huge, and the right support system.
Well,
sure.
but like losing that cow, that was maybe the best decision of my career to date, due to the fact that I made that pick on that cow with Dad, of course, because if that run would have never happened and her tried that hard, people might not have thought I could cut.
Right. Well,
or just train that horse to the fullest of her abilities,
And they may have moved her on. You may have lost that horse in your barn.
It could have, but the thing is it put a lot of appreciation into me, to where it's like things can go really bad and it still be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it was kind of the cherry on the top, and then now that mare, she's went and won 80,000 and, just killed it and been such a good horse,
Phenomenal to watch.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what year did you two get married?
Yeah, you go ahead and answer that one, because I'm bad with dates.
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Yes. I always want to say 17 because we were July 7th.
Oh.
And I want to say 17, but it was 18.
It's 18. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were trying for 17, but that was the year we got engaged. So,
There you go.
yeah.
So, Taylor, how you didn't grow up around horses, and you just dove headfirst into this.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
So tell us about your life growing up and how you got suckered into all this madness.
Well, let's see. He basically slid into my DMs, and the rest was history.
Yeah. Literally met over Facebook.
Yep, met
Oh,
over
really?
Facebook. Yeah, he friend requested me. We only had one mutual friend, and I accepted. And I think it was you who sent a message.
Yeah.
Yep. Started talking, and we were talking over Messenger, and I was starting clinicals through the radiology program at Boise State. So I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm going to be super busy. Here's my number if you want to text me.
Uh-huh.
Because he hadn't asked yet. So I was like, all right, is he going to ask?
It wasn't me first. It was you.
What are you going to do here?
Now we have proof.
So we talked for about a week. Met each other for the first time because he lived in California at the time. I was here in Boise and he was in California.
Okay, so were you born and raised here in the Boise area?
I was born and raised. Downtown was like my scene, and I actually, after my plan was after graduating, I wanted to move to San Diego or Hawaii or just any like
A beach, huh?
beach or like just big city.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the city life.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So when we started talking, I had asked him, I was like, so what do you do for a living? He's like, I train horses. And I was like, what does that even mean?
That's a job.
What do
Yeah.
you mean? Because I had never been to a rodeo. I never rode a horse.
That is kind of surprising when growing
Yeah.
up in this area.
I know.
Really is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was
And if you met her
raised-
mother, you're like, how did that never happen?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Connie's a hoot. If you ever get the chance to meet Connie, she's a freaking blast.
Yeah, she was a hoot.
All of our friends, they love her to death.
Yeah.
Love
Call
my
her
mom.
Wild Connie.
Wild God.
We-
Wild
and
God.
we
Well, now
love her.
everybody's going to be calling her wild.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very
You-
accurate, very
Honestly, you
accurate.
better.
So my mom was raised on a ranch. So she was farm life, ranch life. My grandma had horses. Like, they were all very invested in that.
Really?
So, yeah.
Here in Idaho, or?
Yep,
Yeah.
here in Idaho. When my grandpa passed away when my mom was, I think, 20, that's when they sold everything off. They
Okay.
sold their huge ranch, and I don't know how many acres exactly, but yeah, my mom was totally raised around it, and then she met my dad, and then I was a very much of a oops baby.
Yep, that happens.
So my dad was never planning on getting married or having babies, and that happened within a matter of 4 months.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I take after my dad in that side of like more city lifestyle, because that's where he kind of comes from.
Okay. Okay.
So that's kind of why I like the city life a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that at
No.
all. Now you get the best of both worlds.
Yes, 100%. And also just like when I met him and I got to know him and his lifestyle, it was like, wow, like this is hard work.
Yeah.
I was like, I had no idea. It's so just inspiring, honestly.
Yeah.
Like when talking to him and just like his passion about it. When we first started talking, I was like, wow, you're like really invested in this. And he's like, it's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I guess just coming from like city life, that's not something you hear about often.
Yeah. A little different mentality, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like in this world, it becomes your identity. It becomes
Yeah.
like it becomes who you are.
Yeah.
And, I think there are other things out there that do that to people, but they're few and far between. I don't,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And for people that haven't seen this side of it, the hours invested and the hard
Yes.
work and the worrying yourself sick when you got one that's got a cough, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's very admirable and
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours, 24/7
Yep.
hard work. And I guess I just like I admired that.
Yeah.
Like that is like, I think one thing I fell in love with him for that reason. Because I feel like when I was meeting people were like, oh, I'm driven. But like when I met him, I mean, he was diving all the way in.
and probably never even had to say those words to you. Just was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't have to tell you he was driven. He just was.
Just showed it.
Yeah.
I mean, just every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, it's 5 a.m. I'm up for clinicals. He's like, I'm riding a horse. And I was like, it's 5 a.m. What
Why would you ride a horse
mean?
at 5 a.m.?
So it was just very, I don't know, eye-opening.
Right.
Coming from someone who's never been around it before.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
was
So you
awesome.
were you attending BSU then when you guys met?
yep. Gosh, it was 2014
15.
into 15, I think, because it was in November. Right?
Yeah.
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 So 14, and I had just been accepted into the Boise State radiology program. So I just started this big program, and I met him, who he lives in California, and I'm like, how is this gonna work
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
So we dated long distance for about a year.
Right, over a year.
Yeah, a little bit over. And then they finally were able to make the big move here to Idaho, which was really exciting.
I bet it was.
Yes.
Felt like
Yeah.
Christmas morning.
It definitely did. And then it timed out really well because I had just gotten done with the program. So it was kind of good for us actually, because my program demanded me every day of the week.
Right.
I had lots of tests. I had interns, so many things in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it
Yeah.
really, I think, helped us and get to
For
know
sure.
each other. So,
Yeah,
which
it
was
kept
nice.
you from getting too distracted from following your career path,
Yes. Yes.
which was a good
100%.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
That's
phenomenal.
That's a hard program to get into there at BSU. It's pretty demanding from what I've heard
Yes.
and seen.
Yes. At the time, I think there were 100 applicants when I applied, and only 24 get in,
Yeah.
average. And they have
Yeah.
a brutal interview panel. I will never forget that. That's embedded in my brain.
Is that why you had hesitation about doing this?
Yes.
Like PTSD
Yes,
situation?
A little bit. It brings me back.
Yeah.
It really, really got to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I work at St. Al's on Curtis, and I only work there part-time, which really works out because having 2 babies
Yeah.
that
And all
are
of this. And
and all of this, yes, it comes in handy too when he's at shows. I'm able to help out when I can. Mind you, I'm still very much learning along the way of how to be a ranch wife and how to handle things.
That's kind of tough for Tay, but
To
she's
get-
knocking it out of the park.
Man, you just got thrown way into the deep
Yeah.
end. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I remember the
way.
one year we come back from the fraternity, and I don't know if we were engaged yet or whatever, but we had that 5-horse loaded full of yearlings.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
we were married.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so we were like, we're going to get out of here and get down the road. Well, all of a sudden a storm hits. I think we only got to lay in Farmington for an hour, so the horses could get out and stretch out and sleep and eat and drink and make sure nothing was sick or anything like that. And me and Taylor, we were up. We figured by the time we had left Fort Worth and we got back to Cuna, we had been up for like 34 hours.
It was a
Because we
long
went on
drive.
this one strip of road out near Cortez or whatever, and it was like, I think we were on black ice for, I think like 200 miles.
And it was thick. It was like so thick.
That's
so
not fun.
scary.
Yeah, it was not a
scary.
very intriguing trip. So Taylor figured out really fast how to unload yearlings and that have never really been in a trailer and out. And
It was my first experience. It was quite humbling.
yeah,
I
so
learned a lot very quickly.
yeah, she
Very
kind of had to come very gung ho very fast, you know.
I was able to name one of the horses Karen.
Nice.
Oh, Linda. I'm
Linda,
Sorry. Linda.
because she
Linda.
kept saying, "Listen, Linda."
Listen, Linda.
And it's this little Palomino filly we had in the back that was by WR, our friends Britt and Kayla, and like we picked it up and they told us like, yeah, you'll find it out at, I think it was like at Jake Cooper's or something, and we go out there and I'm like, hey, are you positive this thing's a yearling? And I'm like, because it looks like a weanling, you know,
So
because it wasn't very
tiny.
big. She was,
little.
yeah, she was
So
little,
tiny.
and I'm telling you what, for a little horse, she's about the most stubbornest horse on the planet
She was
I ever
mighty.
met. Because she was mighty. She
Mighty.
friggin'. I got Taylor on the end of the line. We got a butt rope out of her, and we're like, we're just trying to get you to eat and drink and get out of the trailer. And we had 4 in front of her, and it took us 30 minutes
Oh
to
my
unload her.
gosh.
And we're just like, and so finally we get her unloaded and all the other horses. I'm like, if we go get a motel and everything, I'm like, sure, we'll just sleep in the truck
Yeah.
and just go through it, just so we know that the horses are good and they're not coughing and everything. And yeah, it was, and all the other boys we had on the trailer, they were great, you know, but she was like the most stubborn one that had never been haltered.
30,
And
45 minutes later,
Yeah.
we're trying to get her out. And I was
takes
like-
another 30 to load her, and we're just like, oh my God, you can't be kidding me right now.
And at that point in time, I was very like, wow, this is
Your life.
This is a
Like, this
lot.
is
I
cool.
chose this.
it's
Yeah.
not easy. Wow. Wait a second. I'm reconsidering.
Exactly.
Love you, but I don't know
But
about this.
this is a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been good so far. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like humbling, but really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Lots of benefits.
Yeah.
Lots of benefits too.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Non-Pro in the Know. We're wrapping up part 1 with Clay and Taylor Roeser. Tune in next week for part 2. But we also want to take a second to send our thoughts and prayers towards Veronica Swells and her family. I know this is a hard time for them. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the online auctions benefiting her recovery, I suggest you take a look and see if there's anything in there that might make it easier to lend some money to help. When one of our community members is in trouble, it's sure nice to see the outpouring of love and support. So thank you all for your support for her, and we're wishing her all the best. We'll see you guys next week.